Oi, Namaste, como vocês estão, Dosto? Mera naam Betina hai, मैं Brazil से हूँ. Welcome to my channel full of love. I'm joking. Welcome to my channel. What more? This video is a suggestion from you, of course. So it's about the toughest exam in the world. Said that it's UPSC. So we have this kind of exam here in Brazil. It's called ENEM, who you try to get into universities to do some graduation and courses, and it's not that tough, it's not that hard, but you have to have a really good memory. So that's why it's kind of difficult, especially for me because my memory suck. That's true, like my memory doesn't exist. That's the truth. So I got some, I searched a little bit. So what are the top 10 toughest exams in the world in 2020? So the first one is National Higher Education Entrance Examination, GAOCAO. I don't know if it's in India or not. I'm not sure, I don't think so. The second is the famous of India. It's Union Public Service Commission, the UPSC. So like it's really hard. Like probably I couldn't go to school. I just love math and physics and chemistry. Like that's it. So I was totally fucked. So in the end, maybe if I remember, because as I said, my memories suck. There is some tips in this website and I can tell you, and will be the link below in the description if you are interested. So I also have a video to react about this exam. So 1, 2, 3, go.
Hi, I'm Toby and welcome to another exam review video. So imagine over 1 million students applying to take an exam for which there are less than 1,000 spots waiting for them at the end.
1,000 spots?
This insane competitiveness is the reality for students who are taking India's UPSC exam, making it one of the toughest exams in the world. So I have some of the UPSC exam papers here today, but this isn't even all of it. It's a huge exam. It takes up to 2 years of preparation, and when everything's said and done, if you make it all the way through, you would have sat 32 hours worth of exams. I've covered some other tough exams coming out of India, like the JEE Advanced exam for engineering, or the NEET exam for medical students.
I'm a civil engineer.
But this UPSC exam is different in the fact that you need to be really on top of all your subjects, from technology to current affairs to philosophy. The scope is extremely broad. UPSC stands for Union Public Service Commission, and the exam recruits graduates who have already done a university degree who want to come and work for the Indian civil services. So that's basically working for the Indian government in various administrative roles. It's a highly sought after position, and people who do really well in this exam are really admired by their fellow peers. So let's have a look at the kind of questions that would be involved. The exam is held in multiple stages. There is the prelims that are 2 papers, general studies and an aptitude test. And if you make it through that, it's the main section. Now the mains consist of 9 papers, each 3 hours long, and this is what they cover. There are 2 that are just qualifying, an English exam and an exam in an Indian language of choice. But then we have an essay, 4 general studies exams, and 2 papers of your choice. These papers of your choice are on optional subjects which range everything from physics, maths, philosophy, engineering, but also basically every subject you could imagine. So let's have a look at a few of these papers. So I've got here the first general studies paper. This one covers Indian heritage, culture, history, geography of the world, and so everything's written in Hindi and English. There are 20 questions in this booklet and all questions are compulsory. So let's have a look. They're not joking that this is a lot of work. All of these questions are little like mini essay questions. Yeah, like this is kind of Indian history, things about an 1857 uprising, the linkages between the 19th century Indian Renaissance and the emergence of national identity.
You have to write it, the answer?
So everything from that to the impact of global warming on the coral life system. What makes Indian society unique in sustaining its culture? Discuss in 150 words. So I think what you really need to do to prepare for an exam like this, where it's kind of testing your general knowledge, and I've seen many preparing students talk about this, is actually reading newspapers. And reading newspapers to prepare for an exam seems kind of bizarre to me, but it makes sense. Newspapers should give you a pretty good idea of what's kind of going on in the world. Right, so this is another general studies paper. Number 4, this one should cover ethics, integrity and aptitude. They want to know what are the basic principles of public life. Illustrate any 3 of these with suitable examples. What do you understand by the term public servant, right? That's very relevant since that's the job you're applying for. Then we even have some kind of philosophical ideas over here. An unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates. Discuss that in 150 words. One from Gandhi. A man is but a product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. I'm left feeling that someone who's prepared for an exam like this wouldn't just be good at sitting this exam, but they'd be a really knowledgeable and smart citizen of the world. You know what I mean? Like questions like this on history, philosophy, geography, general knowledge are that. They're general. You're tested on them kind of every day in your life. They're what allows you to contribute to interesting discussions with random people that you meet. And I don't think this knowledge would be lost when you finish this exam. I think some of these ideas just help you understand the world better. And even if you don't get in, it's kind of like you haven't wasted your time. You spend all this time becoming knowledgeable about your country, and I don't think that's something to be upset about. So this is the essay paper of between 1,000 and 1,200 words on something like wisdom finds truth, or biased media is a real threat to Indian democracy, or the rise of artificial intelligence. You see, some of these ideas are interesting to think about. Now that's kind of a look through the general studies and my thoughts on those. Let's have a look at some of the optional papers now. So since this is basically a physics channel, I picked a couple of the optional physics papers. I've got physics paper 1 and physics paper 2. And so let's have a little bit of a look through these. They're starting off not too difficult. What does a central force? Give 2 examples. How does Reynolds number help in the study of fluid motion? What I noticed straight away is that these are not multi-choice questions, which was the case for some of the other Indian exams I looked at. This page is pretty interesting. Section B, you're answering these physics questions in about 150 words each. So you have to really be good at your communication of scientific ideas. For example, we're asked to discuss and brief the ultraviolet catastrophe. How did Planck solve this problem? Alright, so that's paper 1 of physics. Let's have a little look at paper 2 before we make any judgments. This is starting off with some quantum mechanics questions. Again, a lot of explainer type questions. How do you define density of states?
I will take a 0.
Define mathematically the Bohr
radius. And I like physics.
Calculate the numerical values for the hydrogen atom. I should mention that if you make it through all of these papers, you make it through the main round, then there is an interview, and that interview would be a bit of a personality test. So even if you ace all of these, I guess it's still possible that you're not quite what they're looking for, and that interview is probably maybe one of the most subjective parts of all. It's hard to put a number on someone's personality. Just like I did in my NEET exam, I'll give this exam a little rating. So name, UPSC. The scope. Well, we covered everything from philosophy to physics. That's a pretty big scope. It gets an A and a plus. Difficulty, well, it's a tough exam. I'll give it an A. I guess the difficulty will depend on your strengths and weaknesses and how prepared you are feeling and how much preparation you've done for it.
I would put some plus there.
Well, it's kind of a test of stamina. This is such a long process. Like I said, you would have done
Yes, but
32 hours of
comparing
examinations
to
if
scope
you've
and
done all of these
difficulty,
papers, the interview, the mains,
time
the
pressure is not that
prelims.
bad.
That's intense. In terms of actual time pressure, yeah, you have 3 hours to answer heaps of questions. I'll give it an A as well. Now, the big
Yeah.
one, competitiveness. This is the most competitive exam I've ever covered on the channel. I thought NEET was competitive, but students here are competing for only hundreds of spots. So
That's
this is
crazy.
going to be a never before seen
Plus,
rating of A
plus,
plus
plus.
plus plus plus. And that's what makes this one of the most difficult exams. If you want me to compare it overall to the JEE Advanced exam, I would say that UPSC is tougher on the basis of selection, but JEE Advanced was probably tougher on the basis of the questions. But they are two totally different exams, testing different things for different people who want different jobs. I wanted to finish this video with a little story. So I printed out these UPSC exam papers at the library, and while I was doing so, there was some of the pages got caught in the printer, and there was a little printer jam. You might be able to see this page here is a bit crinkled. Well, anyway, one of the staff members at the library came over to help, and as he was fishing these pages out from inside the printer, he recognized the exam, and he asked me, "Are you preparing for UPSC?" You see, he was from India and he himself had prepared for the UPSC.
Crazy.
I told him that no, I wasn't preparing for it, and it was a little bit hard to explain what I was doing printing it out if I had no interest in sitting it myself. But he ended up telling me his story about how he'd done a lot of preparation himself when he used to live in India, and he'd gotten quite far through the exam. He's done quite well, but he didn't make it all the way to the end. So he'd faced the disappointment of not getting through the UPSC. But life had taken him on a different journey. He'd gone to university in India and studied languages
It's just
and even
one
done
test.
a PhD. I guess that PhD had allowed him to apply for a job in Australia at the library, and he was living a happy life here. So it was kind of a coincidence for me
You
to
don't
bump
need this
into
test
a
for be
UPSC
happy, to be
alumni
happy.
here in Australia. But there were two things I kind of took away from it. One was that UPSC is so widely known in India and so many people apply for it that you might bump into people who have done it anywhere around the world. But also that UPSC and passing it is not everything, and that there are multiple paths to happiness. Even if you try really hard to pass an exam and you think you want to take your life in a certain direction, there are other directions that life could take you, even if you don't get what you want. Sometimes not getting what you want can even be a wonderful stroke of luck. So keep that in mind,
She's
and
amazing.
thank you for watching.
Such a positive message. Yeah, I agree with everything that she said. Okay, I was not expecting that it's not objective questions. You have to write it and everything. It's a lot of questions, and it's actually to get a job, and it's not to get into university as I was thinking before. So what more? I will give some say about the ending here in Brazil, that it's to get into universities. I will post here some of the tests. Yes, so just for curiosity, so we also have this kind of tests and exams to get a job in the service and public service, but it's not one test for everything. It's like you want a specific spot, so you do the exam and test for that spot. So you do multiple exams and different spots, so it kind of help people to not have this competitive, because you have to apply to a lot of exams and tests, so you have to choose. And what she said, that it's not just like your life doesn't depend on this test. you can do and have a lot of more things. Like I am a civil engineer, but my life direct me for a totally different way, so I'm not working as a civil engineer, and that's fine. That's life. If it was easy, what's the fun of it? So thank you very much for suggesting it for me. Like, it was very good, very get to acknowledge what. Sorry, my English is not that good because here in Brazil we speak Portuguese, so sometimes I just forget all the words and then what's that word? I'm stupid, I know, my memory sucks. I told you, I will be fucked in this test because my memory, I just, I don't know what will I do if I do this test. Like, my score will be like Z minus. Poor girl, stupid girl. So like this video if you like my reaction. If you're doing this exam and this test, I wish you the best of luck, and if you don't do it so well, that's fine. Just search for other things and be happy with the small things, because that's what it matters. So subscribe because it helped me a lot, and I know that I'm doing a good job. That's one of the way to me to know it. And see, I forgot, my memory suck, so I just have to record it, a piece of it again, because I told you I really want to give you the tips to prepare to the toughest exam in the world. So they give 5 tips. 1, know the syllabus and exam pattern of the exam. 2, solve past year's paper as much as you can. 3, have study buddies to help you to study more and focus. 4, get your doubts clear. So study, and if you get a doubt, write it up and ask for someone to help you. And 5, believe in yourself. I guess that this is not for the exam, but it's always important to say that you should believe in yourself. Sometimes life can be very hard, very difficult, I know it, but in the end it's to us to grow and learn from it. So this 5 tips is not for the exam, but actually is for the entire life. So that's the message. Believe in yourself. That's it. I'm very anxious about this exam, and I'm not even doing it. India is crazy. Okay, namaste. Namaskar.